My name's Calvin Waite, and I trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a living. So this morning, I woke up to a beautiful Bitcoin breakout. I know it may not look like much of a breakout to some of you, but to me, it is a significant breakout. And so it really made me want to take a look at Bitcoin, and hopefully this will be something a little different, something a little new that none of you have seen before. But what I've done is, since Bitcoin has a halving event every 4 years, and so there is a kind of an economic jolt to the system, even though it's planned and it's known in advance. The implications of that halving and the reduced supply over a period of 4 years, it absolutely has macro consequences to the economy of Bitcoin. And so what I've done here is, in our bottom screen, I have the first 4-year cycle, at least what history we even have on it. We have a few trades in 2011, but there was not much recorded history in the first 2 years of Bitcoin's existence. They weren't even sure if it was ever going to have a market. But of course, Mt. Gox was back in here. Okay, so let's look. There are these kind of periods of yellow, periods of green, and then yellow, white, back to green, yellow, white, back to green. And this right here represented the tip of the ice. This was the ultimate all-time high back in 2013. So the first 4 years culminates in this all-time high. And now, from this all-time high, you can see the next 4 years where we had a very long 1.5 year bear market where we had reds and yellows. Reds and yellows. Reds are when all of the 50, the 100, and the 200 moving averages are all upside down and everything's declining. So you can see how we kind of pop up a little bit, the averages switch us up, so we get into this kind of yellow zone. Then we flip back to red as we drop down. Our last red that we ever had in the last 4-year cycle happened in June of 2015. And then we've had this period of green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, and then much more solid green, all the way up to the all-time high of 20,000. So how does this play out? Let me get my let's get our denominator, our x-axis, lined up with the others so that we can see things much clearer. So this is pretty close. I guess we're a little bit this way. Okay, so I'm trying to line up these dates. So we have 2016 lining up exactly with 2020. And then we got our 2021 lined up with our 2017. This is the next 4-year cycle. It should end in 2022, the beginning of 2022. So there are some similarities and there are some differences. So right off the bat, you can see that our all-time high of 20,000, it immediately converted into a very strong yellow zone, which is very similar. But then here we had kind of a smooth move up and then a pretty long solid sell-off until we found support. And then once we found support, the market slowly built upon that support, and it ramped up and culminated in the end of 2017. Well, this time things are a little different because the market, as we went, we flattened out. There was a lot of people back in 2018 that really believed that nothing could stop Bitcoin. They'd all entered in 2017, and it was really hard for them to sell and be convinced that we needed to establish a nice, strong, low support to build off of. Well, we got that back in 2019, end of 2018, and then we went on a crazy rally. This rally from 3,500 to 14,000 was a 4x return. And if I take a measured move from here, a 4x return puts us all the way here. So we skipped, well, yeah, pretty close. If not here, we'll go with this. So Bitcoin tried to be a hero and go from our low. You know what? Let me zoom in on this a little bit. I gotta capture the actual bottom. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so here's our 400% return. So in the past, when we found our bottom, we went through a very jagged recovery zone from that bottom. Then we had our, I mean, this is so typical. I mean, I can't even tell you how often you see these things where you see a crazy drop, and then you see a period of oscillations, and then you have this kind of level malaise. It flattens out, all of the emotion drains out, but little do people realize that they've established a higher high than before. And that's where we get out of this red zone and we start changing the trend. And so what we did is we had our all-time, well, we had our cycle low here, but because we ran up so quickly, we changed the outcome. So people have been very confused in this section, because this section historically was this section or this section. Like this was more of a building phase in the middle of our 4-year cycle. But because we kind of jumped ahead in the timeline, people got really excited and hopped up on the bandwagon. We did this kind of a rise without establishing the support that we needed. And so everything has to happen in order for investors to be convinced that moves are stable and they're ready to put in more and support the price. So as we did pop up too fast, we entered into a red zone that didn't exist back in these periods here. And this red zone was one of those kind of slow bottoms, and everyone was kind of wondering what was going on. We established a lower high, and then we had the coronavirus thing that hit. And this was actually the jolt to the system that we needed, because all of these people that were emotionally recovering from this too rapid of a high, they all got shaken out. So this shoved everybody's emotions all over the place, and it reset investors emotionally. When you have a shock like this and then you pop back up, it gives people a lot of confidence that this is our bottom. And luckily, this bottom was higher than this bottom. And because of that, where we had our weakest possible scenario, and it was still stronger than the bottom of our bear market, our bear year, this gave people a lot of confidence. And so now we've been creating a little bit of momentum here. So I want to tell you where we might be headed from here, because look, if this is the end of our red zone, so we swapped some of this red for some of this green because of our exuberance and trying to get up to a higher price too quickly. But we are finally stabilizing. I don't know if you can see this, but this price and the position of the price in this axis here is very stable very similar to a period right in here. So let's take a look. What I wanted to see is today we're the beginning of October, first week of October or so, and I kind of wanted to take some measurements from about where we are, first week of October, and see what happened in the past. So in the beginning of October, back in 2013, by mid-December, somewhere 15th or so, we had a 600% run. This was the first crazy bull market. This was the all-time high ever. So this is definitely an unusual data point. But let's keep this theme in mind and see if there are any patterns that emerge from this. After the bull market, there's a bear market, and just taking a look, same exact thing. First week or so of October, we'll go to mid-December. This was a negative 15%, so nothing crazy, but bear markets between this period are historically pretty rough. Let's take a look at October in 2015. So 2015, beginning of the October, kind of where we are, mid-December, 88% gain. Okay, so that's something to think about. 2016, let's take a look at beginning of October, like 10th-ish, somewhere in there. And then mid-December, 28%. So I've been in Bitcoin long enough to remember that things get crazy. I don't know what it is, but between October through December, the end of the year, historically, Bitcoin has just been wild. And we've had our all-time highs in December. Okay, so there's our next data point. It's hard to see. 300%. So movements between October and December in a bull market or in a recovering market after we've kind of officially exited a bear market have been very, very strong. And it's not that there's any rule about that, it's just that it happens. It just happens. So here's our bear market. This is our most recent bear market, 2018, beginning middle of October. Bear markets are not friendly during that time period. There is so much volatility between the beginning of October. Really, it usually starts in November, but I just kind of wanted to give us an idea from our current date and where things are moving. So this lost 50% during that period of time. So we have these huge runs up and huge runs down. Next data point. Let's take our 9th or 10th, somewhere in here. Middle of December, lost 25%. So we lost 25% here. Well, this morning, as you can see, we have had a symmetrical triangle that has just broken. Today we will likely end the day above this declining resistance. And this is a setup for, this would be similar to a 2015 move, or 2016 leading up to 2017. So the question is, if we did anything similar to the past, what percent gain would we need to get up to our all-time high of 20,000? Let's just take a look and see. Here we are, today's date. to get to 20,000, we would need an 83% increase. So I'm going to answer this question in two different ways. Right now I've rearranged the chart. So we're leading up to 2021, leading up to 2017, leading up to 2013. This is the same time period in the same scenario across the four experiences that we are experiencing here, these 4-year cycles in Bitcoin. So first of all, we want to check, can we get from today, October 8th, can we make it we'll call it 83%, can we make an 83% move by the end of the year? Is this possible from where we're at? So let's do it first by date. Let's check on October 8th. To the end of the year. So this was, we could, I mean, the top is 86%, but we'll just go with January. Somewhere here. It's hard to get it perfect, but you can see that had we done a 68 to 86% move like we did in 2016, we could be there. Let's take a look at 20. Let's take a look at 2012. October 8th would have been right in here. And we'll go to the new year right here. So nothing to brag about. We got 8%. So that's one way of looking at this. Let's look at it one other way. So we can see that it actually is possible. If we just took this wild period from October to the end of the year, there's a pretty decent chance we are likely to see a rise, especially after our breakout. How much the rise will be, I'm not entirely sure. So the other way to look at this is, what if we took the measurement from the end of this white zone? So we have this green zone, we have the yellow zone, and if we pop above this 50, we're going to be in a white zone. And that white zone will flip to a green zone as long as we stay above the 50-day moving average. So what happened here? When we popped above the 50, we had a little difficulty because we were below the 100. And when we got above the 100, then we were able to enter our green zone and have a pretty good run for the rest of the year. In 2012, we have a much more similar structure, because when we left this green zone and went into the yellow zone, when we popped above the 50, the 50 was already above the 100, just like here. So we were below, we popped up. If we close above the 50 today, that means that we will have, until the end of the year, it'll give us 84 days. So in 84 days, what kind of percent gain can we expect? So if we go here and we exit we get into the white zone here, 84 days puts us right in this range, 23%. Nothing too crazy, but our structure was different. You can see that. But if we looked from October, we still have that possibility of getting to 20,000 by the end of the year. But here, where our structure is very similar, when we exited this yellow zone, went to the white zone, 84 days later, puts us at 100%. So we were, it was about 106%. So is it possible? It absolutely is possible. the structure the structure of this chart shows support in the right places. All of our trends are in the right order. Everything is lining up really beautifully. So we have paid the price by having our over exuberance early on, but now we have stabilized and the market is hungry. Everybody's looking at Bitcoin. And can we get to 20,000 by the end of the year? It is possible. It is on the table. There is a possibility. This October to December period of time is wild. I don't know what it is, but it's always been wild. That whole section near the end of the year, it's either very strong or very weak. And especially when there's a lot of bullish exuberance in the market, boy, it can be explosive. And I don't know if it's that everyone goes home for Thanksgiving and they start talking to their family and telling everyone about their Bitcoin investments, and then everyone jumps on the bandwagon and gets all excited. I don't know if it's like a family type of thing. You know, Bitcoin was more grassroots in the past. It's a little bit more heavy in investment, more professional investments now, but it just has that crazy emotionality at the end of the year. And so this end of the year could be wild. It could be a lot of fun. I don't think we're going to have a huge sell-off till the end of the year. I think we are climbing the ladder, and we can get there. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is cool. This is a good time to be in Bitcoin, you guys. Hey, thanks for hanging on till the end of the video. If you liked anything I said, please support the channel by subscribing. If not, feel free to leave a comment and I'd be happy to take a look and make improvements to the channel so it'll be better next time.